Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 48th Stately Office Hours. We are so close to that 50 mark. Have you got your Ask Us Anything questions ready for us? Because, we'll have a lot more to share with you then. But if you have some cool questions, that would be great to prepare. I only just remembered that we mentioned that a while ago. And yeah, I thought that was worth bringing up. So this is where the team at Stately shares what we've been working on at Stately and on XState. We have a huge amount to share with you as we've been out for the last couple of weeks. So we have come back with a bang and plenty of demos lined up. Let's start with introducing the team to you, seeing as Farzad has just dropped in. Perfect timing. So we'll start with me and we will go around in roughly order. I am Laura and I do developer and designer advocacy at Stately. David, you're up next.
I'm David. I'm the founder of Stately, the creator of XState, and currently the QA person, or at least one of them.
And matching me in the yellow, where the rest of the team have chosen black today, Farzad, introduce yourself.
Hello. This is Farzad, and I work on engineering.
And next up, Mateusz.
I'm Mateusz, the meddling kid who breaks stuff to keep David busy with tasting.
And Anders.
Hey, my name is Anders. I'm doing all things code here at Stately.
And last but not least, Kevin.
Hi, my name is Kevin. I'm also working on engineering.
And what a wonderful and even looking set of squares we make. It's perfect. I love it when we're all lined up just like this. So how about we start off with what's been going on with XState recently, David? Because there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes.
That's true. So there's been a lot of work on XState version 4 as well as XState version 5. So today we just published XState version 4.33.6. So it is a patch release. And this patch release includes two important things. First of all, we're deprecating interpreter.state for reading the current snapshot of something that's being interpreted, which is a machine currently. So now you're encouraged to use service.getSnapshot instead. And so this is going to be one of our migratory moves towards version 5, where .getSnapshot is going to be the way to retrieve a snapshot from any actor. The second thing is that you might have noticed a send to action. This is different from the send action, which we will be deprecating. Now send to allows you to send to a specific named actor. And currently the typing isn't, it's assuming that it's any actor. So the typing isn't exact for the event that you could send it. But if you do provide an actual actor ref from context or something like that, then it will be able to correctly infer the event. So we do recommend using send to instead of send for a number of reasons. Number one, because it is going to pave the way for more improved typings. And secondly, because having a send action and a send method is very confusing. And so in version 5, we're going to, basically deprecate the send action in favor of a send to action so that there's no confusion. And in general, we are consolidating a lot of the concepts there so that you don't have to learn 100 different terms. It's not 100, but you know what I mean. The next exciting thing is that in version 5, Mateusz was helping me review the series of PRs today, but I'm very excited for one of the biggest PRs that we're working on, which is the Interpret All Behaviors PR. And it is open source. You could look in the pull requests and take a look at what this PR does if you'd like to. But basically, the biggest change is that you are going to be able to interpret pretty much anything, or technically a behavior. A state machine is a behavior, but you could call from promise and interpret a promise, or interpret an observable. And initially, this was to simplify a lot of the implementation so that we're not special casing things like promises or observables or callbacks or things like that. But this also allows you to more gradually migrate to state machines if, for example, your logic lives in a promise. So, you aren't forced to create state machines out of everything. But of course, state machines are still first-class citizens in version 5. So a lot of cleanup work has been done there. Yeah, when that's released, I'm sure that we're going to talk a lot more about it. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Mateusz.
No, you have summed it up perfectly.
Well, winding back a second to talking about the improvements with actors, Cedric asks, is this a light version of the future receptionist pattern or a way to do the same thing finally?
It is the first step towards the receptionist pattern. So basically, we want an actor rep to be an actor rep. We don't want to special case a machine versus a promise versus everything else. Basically, we want the philosophy that everything is an actor, which is going to make it a lot easier to implement a receptionist pattern on top of this. So that's the next step after this PR, but this does lay the foundation for that.
Fabulous. Now, I'm going to slightly shake up the previously discussed agenda, seeing as Farzad is here. And Farzad, so you can dash off later if you need to. Would you give us a little demo of the context and assignment work you've been doing?
Sure. Yeah, I was actually trying to practice to come up with a good use case to showcase both the context schema, a little bit of validation that we've been working on, and the context assignments. So what do I do? Just share my screen?
Yeah, if you share your screen, I'll add it in.
All right. So let me just clear this machine here and imagine you didn't see any of this. Imagine that this
Will you zoom in a little bit as well for us?
Sure. Does this work?
Yeah, it's a bit better. Thank you.
Okay, so we finally merged the context work, the context schema work, and the assignment action support in the visual editor. Took us only 3 months to get it right. So what happens now is that this entire feature is behind the feature flag. So you wouldn't obviously see that on production right now. We even didn't deploy it yet. It's just dev right now. But this is going to be a part of the launch that's going to happen very soon. With the context schema, you can define the schema of the context of the machine you're working on right now. You can either use this key value pair row here, which has some basic inference built into it. So for example, let's say that we want to build an authentication machine here. And let's just start with some, let's go on and make the machine, and along the way, see what features we've been building on in regards to context and assignment. Let's say that this is a auth machine, and I'm feeling like my voice is trembling here. It's because I'm a little sick. Sorry about that. So at first, let's say the user is going to be logged out. And then we want to have probably a request login event. And then we're going to go into logging in event state. In logging in, we're going to invoke a login user invocation service here, which basically talks to some sort of API to log the user in. And let's say that on done, we're going to go into login state. Let me just do all the layout here. And then when you're logging in the user, when you enter the logged in state, you probably want to save the user session into the context. So for doing that, you're going to go to entry action. And in addition to the custom actions that you've been dealing with before, you can now see an assign tab here. Which is basically for creating assignment action creators. It's basically translates to the assign keyword or the assign function from XState. So let's say that we want the user session to be, it can be anything, right? So it can be the updater signature that we have. We want either data, which is the data that is accompanying the results of the invocation. So we're going to press this, and well, we have an assignment action here. But you're going to see a little warning there that's saying, hey, the session is missing from the context schema, which means when you're trying to export, even though you have this assignment here that's assigning something to the session key, there is not going to be the session in the context schema. So the context is going to be an empty object. So that's why we warn here. So we're going to go on and make this probably null. And the basic inference built into this key value pair row here is going to just detect that as unknown because you're defining it as null for the initial value. So there's no way for us to accurately detect the type of the object that you want to have here, but I know that this is going to be object, so I'm just going to declare that as an object and move on. And when the user is, the login fails, we're going to probably get back to logged out again, and this transition action is going to be probably save the error as well. So we're going to say get the E, and E data is going to be the error. So again, we're going to see a warning that error doesn't live in the context schema. So I got to show you something else. In addition to the key value pair row we have here in the UI, we also have something that we call the code view or the raw view. That's basically the TypeScript code that you have as the context value of the machine. So you can also interact with this. In case of having any sort of existing context object, you can just go on, copy that, paste it here, and you will see that we will translate that to data structure that we understand for context, and we'll attach that to your visualization or the digraph here. Let's say that I want the error to be, I want it to be null. But again, this is going to be type unknown, so I'm going to just define that as probably a string. It's and any value in the context is nullable, so you just have to explicitly set the initial value of the context to null in the schema. Hopefully, we're going to do a better job at detecting these cases later on, so you don't have to just check anything here. You can just type null. But we have some limitations that we decided to have this checkbox there. Anyway, moving on, we have saved the user session using this assignment here. We have also saved the error. And let's say that I want to have like max retry count, and I want to lock the user in if they have failed the authentication for 3 times, and probably want to delay the next authentication request for like a minute or something. So let's say that I go to my code view, and then I say max request. And let's say that this is 3. So if you open this here, you're going to see that this is detected as type number. And I want this to be type 3. And then probably we're going to have something like a request count. Let's say that that's also, what happened? Yeah, that's 0. So this is also going to be detected as number. Oh, I mean, I made a mistake and made it blurred the input before, but you're going to see that here. Request count. Excuse my typing. And this is going to be 0. So this is declared as type number as well. And if you go to the code view, you're going to see that this is going to be type number. So getting back, nothing's going to change. Anyway, on the request login, we probably want to have a transition action that says we want to bump up the number of requests for once. So we're going to have, what was that, request count? And this is going to be ctx request count plus 1. And we probably want to go here if the user hasn't maxed out the, I don't know if max out double X or single X, but anyway, max out request.
Single X is good.
Okay, great. So if you still are allowed to go to the login, we transition to the login state. Otherwise, we stay there. And I think for logging the user, for locking the user in this state, we're going to probably have like a delay transition here. Let's say that this is after, and I want it to be 1 minute. Let's just say some random thing. Let's 15 hours, 15.68 hours. We want to lock the user in there. And then after this is done, we're going to reset the number of the request counts, right? So I'm going to say request count, reset that to 0. And then if you go on and export this machine, of course, you have to sign in. Oh, God, no. No, this doesn't sound right.
Do you want to hide your screen for we can hide your screen for a second so you can sign in if you'd like.
No, that's the thing. It's an incognito tab, so I can't even log in. It's going to have 2FA.
You could just imagine. Pretend.
Yeah, just trust me. When you go on and export this, you're going to see this exact object here in the context of the machine. And I'm also working on exporting to JavaScript and TypeScript. So with exporting to TypeScript, for example, you should be also have the context schema typing when you export the machine. So you actually get like a typed machine exported out of your visualization here. So I think that's basically it. You can go on and play around with this when this is deployed to production and released, and you would see like the limitations of the basic inference that's built into this key value pair here, but you would have like a full TypeScript IntelliSense here, because we actually compile your JavaScript object here as a TypeScript object, and then we go on and do some ASC magic and get the accurate type of the values, whether they're literal values or not, and everything else. So we actually have a good grasp of what you're trying to provide us as a value here, and then set the type according to that value. So just to showcase what's going to happen here, let's say that you have a num expression, which is, Makish is going to say nobody does this. I understand. But let's say, actually, no, let's have Boolean expression. That's a box Boolean value of an empty. So this should be a false value, right? So when we do this, you're going to see that this is declared as type Boolean here. So we understand that this is Boolean, and we understand that the initial value will be false. So we have full grasp of what you're providing here as a value, and we're doing that with TypeScript and everything. I'm not sure whether I'm missing anything. We saw the assignments, and yeah, we saw the machine schema. So that's basically it. It doesn't look like much, but we actually did a lot of going back and forth for getting the right design.
It's a lot.
Yeah, looks like much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
but we also did a lot of validations as well. We were invalidating against assigning a value of different type than the value that you set on that key in the machine schema. But then we decided that, hey, as developers, we trust it, so you can actually go on and try to assign to an invalid value. It's fine, but we will show you the error and the warning afterwards. So it's exactly like text editor. This is how David describes it. It's exactly as working in the text editor. You can make a mistake, but the language service will tell you, hey, you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is exciting for two reasons. Number one, this is going to allow us to, to exports to JavaScript and TypeScript. Like you see, we already have included a code view in here. And the second reason is that this really emphasizes that RStudio isn't just a way to design these flows and model them and then export them, but it's actually a way to make sure that your flows are correct. And so we're doing this at the data model level now. We already have warnings and validation errors for if you incorrectly create two events with the same name or invalid states or things like that. And this has been a use case that has been asked for a lot. So it's very exciting to see.
As Cedric says, don't improve the editor too much. Otherwise, all developers will have to change their titles to product owner. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you for that demo, Fazad.
Sure. One last note is this is going to be hidden from the VS Code extension users, just to give us enough time to figure out what's the best way to get these two working with the bidirectional algorithm that we have in place, and just to provide the best UX that we can. We don't want to just release something that almost works.
Right.
Absolutely. So next up, more demos, because we know you love demos. Anders, do you want to show us what you've been working on recently with projects?
Yeah, so this is a sneak peek of what the editor is going to look like in our upcoming launch. And I mean, I feel bad showing this. It should be Nick showing it. It's his incredible design. But since he's out, I'm taking the honors today. But as you'll notice, the general feel of the editor is just much cleaner here. And we've moved some stuff around. So now you can shift between edit and simulate in the header here. And so we can go, this car machine can go from park to jail using pedal to the metal. And sharing and everything just looks a lot cleaner. And where this view really comes into play is in the term projects. So a project is not just one machine. And if we try to open the left sidebar now, we can see that we actually have multiple machines. We have all the machines inside this project, and I can move between them, and the editor will just reflect that machine instantly. And you can even create new machines in line, and yeah, there's a lot going on here. So I don't think I'll do too much since it's just a sneak peek, but our general internal feeling is that this is a massive upgrade. It makes using the editor just feel that much nicer.
Oh, it's so clean, so much space and room to focus on your machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this also gives us the future possibility of showing multiple machines at once, which has been such a common ask. We'll get to that eventually, but the fact that you could see all of your related machines and switch to them really easily is going to be a huge help.
Yeah. It's so
I
nice.
love all of your
I'm jumping
vehicles.
out. Sneak peek over.
Well, that was a great sneak peek. Thank you. And not a visual sneak peek, but an audio sneak peek, I suppose. Kevin, would you tell us a little bit about what you've been working on recently? And it's related. You might have spotted it.
Sure, Laura. Thank you. So, first of all, like all of you, every week I get to watch these amazing demos. Farzad, Anders, like those are just really impressive demos. And I've been a little light on the demos lately myself, and I just wanted to assure you that I'm actually working on engineering things, including some upcoming features that are related to basically teams and team collaboration. And this is going to be part of our pro feature at our launch, and we're going to enable you to create teams, to invite your friends and your coworkers and collaborators to work on these projects with sort of special features related to visibility of the projects and being able to collaborate in a kind of in your team, basically. And it's also going to open the door for allowing us to build upon that with even better features for collaboration in the future as well. So I'm really excited about that kind of work and about that ability, and especially with the new designs and projects and all the powerful, XState support in the editor.
Yeah, I got to walk through it yesterday, and it's really exciting. There's so much possibility there. It's going to be so much fun being able to invite everyone you work with, whether it's at your job or for fun side projects as well. Be able to invite everyone to collaborate on your machines. It's going to be really cool. So next up, we want to talk about what's going on next week. So I suspect David won't be around for office hours next week, and that's because you will be at React Finland, and fingers crossed, Farzad will be as well, and Jenny will be in attendance too. What's going on there, David?
Yeah, so we have two exciting things happening at React Finland. The first one is we are giving a workshop on, I forget which day, it's Wednesday, so next Wednesday.
The 14th.
The 14th. And I thank you. I believe it's actually sold out. So Farzad and I are going to be talking about using React and XState together to, I forget the title. I think it's like make bulletproof state management or app logic or some sort of buzzy title like that. But basically, we're going to be teaching you state charts from first principles to all the way to testing if we have time, creating a real world app and teaching you just all of the ways to use XState to really improve the way that you write application logic. So I'm very excited for that. And then the next day, Farzad and I will be giving talks about state management, state charts, and things like that at React Finland. So yeah, very excited.
Sounds very exciting. And is it online as well as in person, React Finland, this year?
Yeah, they usually have a live stream. I don't know if it's free. It's probably free. Maybe not. But yeah, they do have a live stream and a pretty good recording quality for later.
Yeah, I mean, it was all online last year and the quality was great. So we'll make sure that we share the links to those. So if you can either attend in person or want to attend online, we'll make sure that you find a way to do that. Because I mean, how can you miss talks from two folks from the Stately team? It's going to be great. Mm-hmm. And then you will be, well, I guess not moving swiftly. It's a little bit later on, but you'll be speaking at React Alicante slightly later in the month. That's the following week. You'll be flying all over the place. So that's in Alicante in Spain. David is speaking at React Alicante the 29th of September to the 1st of October. That's when the dates of the conference. I'm not sure the specific day you're speaking on there, David. And you'll be giving a similar talk, I assume, something cool to do with state machines, perhaps?
Yeah, something similar. Actually, more similar to previous talks I gave this year about use effect. I'm going to be talking more about when to use and when not to use effect in my talk titled Adios Use Effect. It's like goodbye use effect, but in Spanish. I had to go on Google Translate for that one. And actually, it's going to be me, Jenny, and Kevin in attendance on that one. So if you're going to be there, then you'll meet some more of the Stately team.
Oh, fabulous. And you'll be able to practice your Spanish on Kevin.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that would be wonderful. So, yeah, take the opportunity to come meet Kevin in Europe. That would be great. And at the same time, 28th to 29th of September, I will be speaking in Copenhagen at Design Matters conference. And I'll be talking about a somewhat unrelated, well, no, it is a completely related topic because I'll be talking about color accessibility. But I'm going to be using some of the stately work as an example of how to do things well. So if you're interested in design and accessibility, who's not interested in accessibility? It's incredibly important. Come join me there. And if you are around in Copenhagen, do let me know. It'd be cool to hang out and meet up. I'm going to see if I can get Anders to come hang out with me because he's not too far away.
Right.
And on that topic, earlier today, I was talking to Frankie Snow in our Discord about the possibility of having subscriptions, a subscribable calendar, not a paid subscription. That's a very confusing way of putting it. So we're going to have a public calendar where you can not only keep up with all of the conference events that the Stately team are doing, but there will also be a separate feed for our live streams. And hopefully that means that as soon as we all know that we're doing a live stream, so sometimes that might not be a long time in advance. Hopefully most of the time we'll know fairly for certain that we'll be doing office hours and all of those kinds of events, maybe some of the impromptu live streams when they're slightly less impromptu. We'll add these to the calendar so that if you want to subscribe to our Stately calendar, you can find out when all those events are coming as soon as we know. And hopefully that should make it easy for those of you who've been hitting the notify me link on YouTube or relying on Twitch to let you know when events are coming up. It's quite difficult to make all of these platforms work in a coordinated way. So we thought, why not actually have a calendar? And I'd been talking about it for weeks and months and going, at some point I should actually do it. And you know what? Jenny, being the wonderful glue that keeps us all together, has gone and sorted it out and got us a fantastic calendar situation. So whilst nobody likes me reading long links out on office hours, it's very tedious. I will make sure that I share these links very shortly on our social platforms and in the video description on YouTube so that you can get hold of them if you want to use them in the future. Now, team, is there anything we missed that we want to discuss this week? I think we did have a question, actually. Let me just go back and find it. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to completely butcher your name. Huang, I hope. Multiple machines at once. Question, will it contain the events from the other machines too?
So I think that's more related to, will the other machine be able to reference events and actions and things like that? That does become a possibility, and it is one of the main reasons for organizing your machines in a project, in that you could share things between the machines, so you don't have to keep redefining it all over the place. So I think that's what that question is asking, but yeah.
That makes sense. And Dave says we need a talk in Colchester, exotic Colchester. Anyone who doesn't know, that is very much in Britain and in England. And I mean, not many conferences happening in Colchester, Dave, but if there are, let us know. Like, we're always willing to submit papers to cool conferences, and Colchester's not on the list for that, off the list for that, rather. So, I mean, I'm always happy for a trip back to my home country. So, yeah, just let us know. If anyone has a conference or knows of a conference that you think would be great to have a member of the Stately team there, especially if you want us to give a talk, do let us know. Like, we're absolutely interested in that, for sure. Right. Anyone for anything else before I wrap up? I think this has been an absolutely packed week of demos. My head's spinning. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, there's been a lot. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're working on a lot of stuff all at once. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. We are going to have a lot to share with you in a big way very soon. And I think that is a great way to wrap up for this week. We will see you again next week. Goodbye.